So okay, if you don't mind, let's get into some other questions that
Yeah.
people love to have. I know you're on the keto diet, but what's like a guilty pleasure food?
Mm. I absolutely love pizza, and that was the hardest part of getting even on this was I'm not going to give up pizza. And it sounded like that would be the way until I saw videos and they said, oh no, there's different ways to make crust. There's cauliflower, there's chicken crust, there's different ways that you can cut that down and you can have pizza. I thought, I'm in.
Well, you got me because you're telling me I can make a pizza, and I already loaded down with stuff anyway. But you telling me I can make a crust out of chicken? I'm
Yeah,
in.
it
I'm
sounded
in.
so weird. That
I'm
that one
in.
took the hardest. I've used almond flour, coconut flour, all different things. Like, nah, it's not really. But chicken, I thought that took me a while to get to. But just a canned chicken, and you take it, you dry it out, you pat it all down, and then you take a rolling pin over some parchment paper and form it as good as you can, into a pizza shape or a rectangle, whatever you want. And then it cooks in the oven. I think it's 350 for 10, 12 minutes, something like that. I have to look it up. And then you pull it out, you put your toppings on it, shove it back in for about another 10 or 12 minutes, and it's done. And I'm like you, I load it up. I put pepperoni, don't listen, olives. I put ham, uh, all kinds of meats on it, whatever I can get, salami, anything.
Yeah.
And because meats are zero carbs for me, so I can pretty much have as much as I want to a degree.
Yeah.
But yeah, pizza that was weird and it took me a while, but it actually did work. Actually, it worked better than the flours did because it had that crunchy crust to it, and that's what I wanted. The others were too soft, and I thought,
Right.
nah, that's too soft. I don't. That's some people like that. I don't like that. I like more of a crunchy crust. So I do it
Yeah.
thinner and it's crunchy, and I like that. So
Yeah. I don't
there's
like the pizza it's
chicken.
on like a loaf of bread. I don't.
What's that?
I don't like the pizzas that feel like I'm eating a loaf of bread
Oh,
every time I take a bite.
absolutely right. Yeah, not at all. I'm gonna have a
Uh,
sandwich off a sandwich, Probably not a pizza
yeah.
sandwich.
No. I have done the cauliflower crust once, and I didn't make it, of course, but I did get the chance to try it, and I was pleasantly surprised that it was doable.
Yeah, yeah. That's how I was. It wasn't the greatest, but it could work in, you know. Um, Try the chicken crust though. That is the
I
best.
may do that. I may definitely do that.
Weird,
So,
but hey,
hey.
people put chicken on their pizza on top, so
Mhm.
you really can't taste it. It gets because it's in the oven, um, and you've dried it off. It burns it all pretty much up, and it
Yeah.
just becomes crunchy like crust. And that was my biggest thing is I don't want to eat chicken as a crust, but it worked.
Yeah. No, I'm interested just because anytime I can squeeze more meat in on something, I will.
Me too.
I will.
I can put more meat on it. I'm all in.
Yep, that's it right
Yeah.
there. So how have you always cooked? Is it something you got into recently? How'd you get
It's
into
pretty
cooking?
new. It's pretty new. Maybe about 2 years at best.
Hmm.
It's a pretty new thing. Never.
Okay.
It's like how when you start to get older, your taste buds change. Sort of.
Oh
You start
yes.
things. It was sort of like that. It's like my other
Hmm.
hobbies. Nah, I'd done them already. And then all of a sudden, this intrigued me, and started watching a bunch of Gordon Ramsay ones and different things. And I thought, that's interesting. And cooking, what people don't realize, is a creative thing, you know, and that's what I loved about it. I like to create things, whether it's a mixtape or whether it's food,
Yep.
and that got me involved in it. And I thought, I'll give it a try. And I had to give it a few tries, but I still do. But I love it. It's not going to detract me. I'll try and try until I can get it right or close to right.
Hmm.
But I love it. Just the idea of putting all these different things together into one, and then it comes out that way. I like the concept and the taste. Yeah,
Yes. And
yeah,
that's the greatest reward of all is when you try something and you think I have no idea how this is going to go. And then when it all comes out and you think this is perfect,
that's
well,
right.
I should perfect is a limited word
Right.
because even
Yes.
when something comes out and I'm like, this is fantastic, or I'll say, oh, I think this is perfect. Before I finish what I'm eating that I thought was perfect, I'm already thinking of ways to improve it. So
I do that too. That's true. I think, what if I use this? What if I use that? Yeah.
yeah.
And how
And,
many creative things can you eat too? Right. I mean, a mixed tape won't work very well. I've tried
mhm.
it. Very crunchy, but it doesn't work very well.
No,
But
no,
you can
no.
eat your creations. You make them and you eat them. That's
Yeah.
sort of cool.
Yes, it is. It is very cool. And that is one of the things I love, but it is also my downfall because thus the cheesesteak thing I've been doing. And it's like, okay, when you say I want to make the perfect, this is the best it can ever be. Sometimes that's an endless road. You just start going and you think, yeah, but I could add this and I could tweak this. And what if I substitute this for
That's
this?
right.
And the next thing you know, you're eating cheesesteak 4 times a week, and you're like, "This
That's
has
right. Yeah.
this has to stop."
Yeah. Not good.
No, no, it's not. And that's where things get questionable at best. So
But
you've only been
it's
cooking.
a lot of fun thinking how you can, make it better, transform it, and that's a fun thing too. Is that you can take something you've had for years and years and years and totally pretty much change it around, even though it's the same thing
Yes,
initially.
yes.
Yeah.
Well, that's like when I started the sous vide little thing. My argument with John Batters being Caravan Larry was, look, I can make a perfect steak on a fire, and that's always my thing is open fire and give me some firewood. I'll make a steak that's amazing. And it was like, yeah, but the precision of it is what counts. And now that because sometimes you get old, set in your ways. I'm just
Right.
saying,
It's true. Hmm.
and
Might pull
I
you.
I broke I broke out of my comfort zone, tried to sous vide, and now I just sit and go, why haven't I been doing this for the last couple of decades of my life? It's
Now, I've been interested in that. Explain what that is to me, since I'm a
uh,
new.
sure. Sous vide is French for being cooked under vacuum.
Hmm.
And what you do is, of course, you vacuum seal up, say, your steaks. We'll just stick to those to make it easy. Uh, Say I'm wanting to cook a nice New York strip. We'll just go with that one. Vacuum seal it, and then you season it before you put it in. And then the circulator, the actual cooker part, it is so precise at keeping a certain temperature. So me, I like medium rare. That's just how I like my meat
Yeah.
cooked. That's where the most flavor, tender, and juiciness is. It's the sweet spot. So for medium rare, to say in a New York strip, is roughly 135 degrees.
Hmm.
Well, that cooker will maintain that 135 degrees at all times. At all times, it doesn't
Wow.
matter. And
That's what you
so
can't get off a charcoal grill. You can't get that consistency really usually.
no. So I can cook it from. I usually cook mine for 3 hours because at 3 to 3.5 hours, you start going into pasteurization. So even if you like a medium rare, but you are concerned with any kind of bacterias or weirdness, it'll cook that to pasteurized, which makes it perfectly safe. That's the reason I was able to pull off the bear at a
I
medium
would
rare.
say that. Yeah, I remember. You said,
Um,
right.
and no matter what, if you leave a steak in there at 135 degrees, let's say, for 3 hours or 7 hours, it doesn't matter. It's still going to come out perfectly rare. It's
That's
irrelevant.
amazing.
Yeah, and so if you forget about it, you get busy and you think, well, I'm going to cook this for 3 hours like I do, and maybe you got wrapped up in something and you come back at 5 hours, it's still medium rare.
Wow.
Um,
Can't get that
it,
from anything else.
no, it's
Yeah.
impossible. And then what I do is, depending on what it is, most of my steaks, I'll re-season them. You have to dry them once you take them out. I mean, they're in a vacuum seal bag, but they cook in their own
True.
juices. So you take them out of the bag, you dry them with paper towels thoroughly, maybe re-season them if that's what you want to do. And if it's a really lean cut of meat and don't have any fat on it, really, like the bear meat did,
Right.
I'll brush a little butter on it. So that
Mm.
way, when I take it to a charcoal fire to sear it, it will produce the flame it takes to
Right.
sear properly and get the desired sear. You're not cooking it again. You're just, well, actually, I'll dunk it in cold water to stop the cooking process before I cut it out of the bag.
Mm.
And you dunk it in cold water to stop the cook, because otherwise your internal temperature will continue to climb.
Yeah.
And, you can go from medium rare to almost medium really quickly. So stop the cooking process. And then when you throw it on the grill, your center isn't still rising in temperature while you're trying to sear it. The center has stabilized. And the
Mm.
heat you're putting on it for the sear doesn't affect the internal temperature.
Mm.
So
I love that fact. Yeah, I'm gonna look more into that because that's appealing to me. Very.
it's not cheap to initially get into, because you buy, of course, the sous vide machine, and then you have to buy a vacuum sealer if you don't already have one.
Got a vacuum sealer, so I got
Okay, well,
one.
you got
I'm
half
half
of it down. You got half of it down. Now, as far as these containers, I have seen all kinds of stuff. People like my boy John Battersby has a cooler. He went out and bought a cheap cooler, chopped it all up to make his sous vide machine fit, and do all that so it'll stay. You know what? I got a great big canning. Well, I call it a corn cooker, but it's also like for a canning. It's a big round pot. It's rather large. And literally, I just clamp the machine on top, throw my stuff in. If it's in for a long period of time, I'll cover it with some aluminum foil. It's as simple as you want it to be.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So you can make it as hard or as easy as you want. I was originally thinking, well, now I got to buy a cooler or some kind of containers
Yeah.
insulated, and no, you don't. You don't have to.
That's good.
And it produces some of the most amazing results. Some of the most tender and juicy meat I have ever had in my life has been what I've cooked in sous vide.
Are you cooking any? Can I come over?
Hey, I don't care. I cook for anybody. That's one of the things, with cooking I have greatly enjoyed too, is I love cooking for people, because I love that, especially, now that I'm into sous vide, if I can hand somebody a piece of meat of some kind, and that reaction of, oh my gosh, this is so
Right.
and you think, yeah, it worked,
Yeah, you wait for it. First, they're apprehensive. They put it in, roll it around a little bit, and wow! And you look for that.
Yeah,
And you're right.
and you just wait, going, you'll never look back. I promise.
Right.
Me and my wife took off for a few days for a birthday retreat for me, and we was at this beautiful.
Birthday.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. We took off this little inn up here, about an hour and a half or so away, and just tucked in and stayed there for a while, and just enjoyed life for a bit, and got away from digital media and stuff like that. Just shut down and just enjoyed each other and hung out. Well, the inn we stayed at had a restaurant in it. We went down, and I got a surf and turf. I got a filet mignon that come with some shrimp scampi and stuff like that. And I thought, hey, going to enjoy. I love a good filet mignon. Obviously, you do too.
Yeah.
And I got that thing, and I asked, and the waiter said he wanted me to cut it to make sure it was cooked properly. So he was doing his job right. Man, first of all, I've done many rants about steak knives and steak houses. They're the worst thing in the world. And second is I started cutting this thing, and I thought this is filet mignon. And if I would have cooked this, I wouldn't have needed a knife. My fork would have done it, And I'm sitting here sawing on this thing, cutting it, and I'm like, and it was cooked perfectly, rare, medium rare area, and it was still that tough. And I thought, how did you do this?
Right.
So after the waiter walked away, because it's not him, he just brought me the food.
Right. Yeah. Poor guy. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. I didn't say nothing. I just said, yeah, it's fine. And he walked away. Meanwhile, my wife is getting the full rant of, oh my gosh, how do you cook a filet this badly? And it's this tough. And other people in the restaurant was like, oh, it's so good. It's some of the best. And I'm like, and my wife just looks at me and goes, it's because you're spoiled.
You feel like I go back and take over from the cook for a minute, at least for mine.
Let me show you something right fast. Oh, so you will, if you do get to the soup, you will be very spoiled very quickly. Very quickly.
That sounds good. I'm sure I will. That sounds amazing.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, there's was it a cabin you were in?
No, we went to a little inn up north from us a bit. So we was getting a little closer to you.
Okay.
About an hour and a half north of us. And it's an old historic inn. It's called the Buxton Inn. And it's the oldest running inn in Ohio. It was built in 1812. So,
wow.
Yeah. So we went up there, and I fell in love with its, as I called it, elegant imperfections. When they built a building in 1812, it isn't perfect. It isn't perfect. It's
that's a good way to put it. I like that analogy.
And I just fell in love with it. It's a great place. So yeah, that's what we've done. So
try it.
So since you've only been cooking for, as you said, about 2 years or so, where do you get your inspirations and stuff from?
Mostly from YouTubes. I find that I've got like 6 or 7 cookbooks, but I don't use them as much as I do YouTube.
Right.
Which is strange because I'm old school, so I should be going to the cookbooks. But I guess a part of me likes to see how it's made, or if somebody's, they're speaking to you saying, well, you could do this or this. And the cookbooks are just pretty much, this is how it goes. And I guess that's one of the things I like about it, is just to be able to see it, see the results of it. I mean, certainly there's pictures and cookbooks and stuff, but I like to see it from its initial phase to the phase and all in between, see how. So that really did it for me the most, but I still use cookbooks.
There you go. I was that way even back in school. You can give me a book to read, and you can write all the stuff on the chalkboard you want to tell me how to do something. But you know what? Let me actually see it being done, and I'll learn it 4 times faster. Just
you're like me. They said there's 2 ways to learn. There's the book way to learn, and there's the site way to learn. I'm definitely in the site way to learn. But even though school is mostly made up of just book learning, it would be good if they included the other, because I was the same way as you. In science, I got it because they actually is a hands-on thing. Pulleys, levers, and all this, and I got that concept. But when it came to maybe literature and explaining it, a little more difficult.
Yeah. Well, that's it. But I was also the kid that played with the Rector sets and stuff like that. Yeah. And so to me, it was just, let me get my hands on it and do it, and I'll figure it out,
Remember
but I also,
Lincoln logs?
What is it?
You remember the Lincoln logs?
Yes. Yes. Fantastic.
Another one.
When toys were actually made of wood.
That's right. Yeah, people wouldn't know what that is now. You mean it wasn't plastic? No.
Yeah. And, let's face it, Lincoln logs were environmentally safe.
There you go. That's right. There was no problems with those. No chemical reactions ever came from them.
Other than possibly the green painted ones to represent grass for roofing and stuff like that.
Okay, other than that.
Because everything else was just brown. So it was
Right,
just,
exactly. Yeah. Yeah. No food coloring.
no, no. So I was definitely that, and I'm with you. I do a lot of things on YouTube. There again, it's like if I can see you actually make it, then I do so much better.
Yeah. That's what I
It
do.
makes my life
If you ever
easier.
found that you improvise a lot of yours, I improvise a lot of mine, but it's the creativity where some
Mhm.
people just want it and want to do it exactly the way that says. I'm always thinking there might be another seasoning, there might be something better. Um, I know you're that way too, because you're saying, you improvise on it and say, this might need a little more seasoning, or this could be done this way a little different.
Yeah,
And so I
that's
like
why
always to do that.
that's why I'm no good at baking. I I, can't, I, I improvise way too much, which I have said many times. That's why I'm glad my wife is a baker. She's really good at it, so it's fine. It's I can make like hamburger buns, stuff like that. I'm good with that. But after that, don't ask me to make you a birthday cake because you don't want
Right.
you aren't going to want to eat that.
Don't push my limits in baking. Yeah.
Yeah, right. I'll make you steaks and burgers and
Oh,
chickens and
yeah.
all that, but man, you asked me to make you a cake. Oh, it could be rest. You
Good
do
thing the burgers and steaks are more essential.
it. Right. I need those more than I need a
Have
cake.
to have
Although
both.
that could get questionable at times.
Right.
So is there anything that intimidates you in your cooking adventure here?
Um, Sometimes when it gets a bit too creative, like creating a hollandaise sauce, the verde sauce, different sauces sometimes, but I always find out they turn out, but they are a bit intimidating. Some of the higher, kind of items, at least fancier stuff. I'll try it, but it's intimidating. Yeah,
Right.
I can do burger steaks and these. That's great, but sometimes, not too often, I'll try something a little outside my comfort zone, and it's hard to push yourself, but it's fun whether it works or not. Because you're learning.
Yeah. Well, in order to learn, sometimes you have to fail. And
Absolutely.
that's
I believe that concept. Some people just, kick themselves over and over for it. Don't. Just learn from it and keep pushing on.
yeah. And just, if something and it's always kind of sad to me when especially on Food Tribe, when I see people who, they really jumped out of their comfort zone to try something new and crazy, and it failed on them, and they're sort of broken over it, and they're like, "Well, I can't do that." Well, yes, you can. Just grab what you did and say, "Hey, this is where it went wrong. Look
Right.
and figure out what went wrong, and then do it again, and make sure the areas that went wrong don't go wrong this time."
Absolutely.
And
Right. It's easy
and
as that.
eventually you'll nail it. Yeah, and eventually you'll nail it. And then you'll
Exactly.
be
Huh.
it's such a gratifying feeling when you do perfect. Well, there goes that perfect word. But when you
Right.
can make it and
Kudos.
it turns out well, and it's an achievement, it's an accomplishment, and it
It's
feels good.
right. Sometimes it's better if you do have to go at it a few times because there is a greater feeling of accomplishment than hitting it right the first time.
Mhm. Yeah. And there again is something we're losing in society is, well,
Mhm.
it's not good to fail. Well, yeah, it hurts, but you know what? Well, the old saying, jump back on that horse and give it another shot, and
Absolutely.
dust yourself off and keep going.
It's sort of a little bit out of the food realm, but it connects a bit. Is like in sports and stuff when they say, "Well, there's no losers. There's everybody's a winner." Well, now there's winners and losers, and
Yeah.
sort of like when you fail, just know you failed, and then find out where you failed, and then keep moving on. You know?
Yep. Yep. And
Well,
you're 100% right. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. That's life.
right.
And just because you lose, don't quit.
Yeah.
Come back stronger, come back harder, and you'll win. Next time you'll win.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Don't ever quit. So,
I
but
like that. Stuff.
trust me, because otherwise I wouldn't be cooking at all.
Oh, right. Me neither.
I have ate a lot of bad food because I didn't cook it right. There's been a lot of takeout pizza because I screwed up so bad.
Yeah,
Oh
I
my
can there
God.
too. Yeah.
Oh yeah. So, just always keep trying. Oh, try. Yeah, yeah, that's funny. It's been a lot of fun talking to you. I gotta say, yeah.
Oh, it's been great talking to you too, Doug. I love, like I said, your format of introducing people, and Food Tribe people can get to know other people just a little bit more, and that's a really good thing. So I thank you for doing that for your podcast.
Oh, well, I appreciate that. And like I said, thank you for coming on. The thing with it is this shows a different nature. Of course, reading the comments and stuff of how you interact with people. Well, that alone, just the fact that you bother to comment. A lot of new tribers come in, they post their foods, and they have zero interaction with anybody. And, so to see you come in and post and then jump into the comments, and not only of your own posts, but other people's, and that fun nature, like I said, sometimes you've had me just absolutely laughing reading some of your comments. And everything.
That's
And, I thought that's why, like I said, I looked back and I thought he hasn't been on that long. And I try to let people see if they're going to actually stick around first of all, because
oh, yeah.
we do have some turnover. People come on, post a little bit. And I don't know if they think something's going to happen overnight or what they're going for, but then a week or two in, they're gone. They're just gone.
Yeah,
And
we're not talking apple or cherry turnovers here. We're talking actual turnovers.
yeah, people show
Yeah.
up, and in a couple weeks they're gone. I don't know
Yeah.
if they expect fame and fortune, or I don't know what they're going for,
Right.
but
You wonder sometimes what were they thinking? What was their idea of what it was supposed to be? It's called Food Tribe. You expecting it to go off of food, or what were you thinking? Or it's going to be a
yeah,
bunch of McDonald's recipes? Or yeah.
yeah,
But
I don't.
yeah, I love all the Food Tribe. I'm here. I'm here for good because I love it,
Well,
and it encourages me too. Everyone else's posts, I look at them. Sometimes I try to emulate them. Sometimes, like, I don't know about that. I'll have to wait till later. But I love the encouragement that people give. You're talking about comments as well. That if we encourage one another, it's a good thing. You know what I
mhm,
mean? It pushes us beyond our boundaries, beyond our comfort zones, and encourages us with showing other people, said, hey, it's possible. I tried a million times, or I hit it the first time, but it worked. And
yep.
that's encouraging. That's what I like about Food Tribes. A great group of people, and they're all encouraging, and everybody's commenting, and that's good. Let the turnovers go back to Facebook and Instagram. Bye.
But that's why I thought, I know you hadn't been here long, and I hesitated on asking you because of the fact that I thought, well, he hasn't been here long. And to hit him with somebody with something like this immediately, and I thought, well, it's been almost a month, now.
Oh,
And I thought, well, you have joined in really well. You've blended in, or whatever you want to say, assimilated, I guess, maybe.
yeah.
Really well. And and I thought, well, yeah, you seem good natured, that you would really be into it. So,
Yeah, I'm just down to earth like you, you know,
cool.
just
That's the kind of people we love on Food
talk
Tribe.
about everything. And I'm glad you did, because I'm up for it.
Yeah, well, and like I said, it is a glimpse into who we're actually interacting with. And I've said it millions of times: is it's one thing to look up and see, an icon by somebody's name, and maybe it's got a picture of them or something silly, and you think, well, that icon and that name is a real person in
That's
there.
right. Yeah.
And some of these people are some of the most, just I am honored to know a lot of them. They're fantastic people, and and dare I say, it gives you hope in a lot of ways,
It
because
does.
you get into some of these giant platforms, Instagram, Facebooks now, and you see so much drama and so much actual, well, I'm just going to say hatred, just
Yeah,
hate.
true. Absolutely. Yeah.
And you come to Food Tribe, and that just don't really happen. It,
No. Yeah. And maybe some of the turnovers are people who are sadly enough used to that and go back to that. Maybe they're not used to all the great people and the nice people. And
well,
I don't,
there.
but I love it. It connects with me. It connects with you. It connects with a lot of us.
Mhm. And I think it's a lot of it is people live on drama anymore,
Mm.
a lot, and they need that drama in their life. Food Tribe doesn't have it. Just
And
thank God.
I love that. Why have the stress? Why have the drama? Why have the hatred? You know, encourage each other, laugh, have a great time, post some food.
Hmm.
I like that. I like that idea.
Well, I recorded a podcast yesterday, and that was one of the things I said. I have been around the internet. I mean, Food Tribe is the only social media, well, other than Discord, and it's still Food Tribe because I'm talking to Food Tribers. Anyway,
Oh, right. Yeah. Essentially, yeah.
yeah. So really, it's just an extension of Food Tribe for me. But I've been around these other places checking different things because a lot of people have accounts on different platforms.
Sure, sure.
And I gotta say, man, I think some of the best cooks there is on Food Tribe.
I agree.
They might not. Okay, I'm gonna put some stipulations. They're some of the best cooks. They might not always be the best photographers, but some of their food is amazing. And then we
Yeah,
got those people who are both cooks and photographers, and you
yeah.
think, oh my gosh,
Look at that.
this
Wow.
stuff is amazing. Uh, and it is. I look back, and I don't know if you knew, but I didn't originally want to be on. I had no
No,
intentions, and
love it.
yeah, I wrote a story about it. It was a three-part story actually,
Ah,
almost a year ago, and I got on it to show it to a friend of mine who was wanting to start getting into doing food and cooking videos and different social medias. And I was on Drive Tribe at the time, and I thought, well, hey, I downloaded the app just to see what it was like. Is it set up the same as or Drive Tribe? And I was like, hey, this is like old school Drive Tribe. And I just found it interesting. So after I showed it to my friend and I said, hey, maybe you ought to check this out. This looks like a place that, you would fit in really well. And they were hesitant because it wasn't a big platform like Instagram and
mhm.
Facebook. And so I thought, well, okay, well, and I just started, I never took it off my phone and I just kind of left it there. And occasionally I'd poke in and look at the pictures and scroll through. And then next thing I know, I started commenting with people and I was like, hey, this looks really good. And then I got to talking, well, about 6 months, I started in October and my first post was actually Easter the next year.
Mm.
And I lived in the comments. I just lurked around in the comments and stuff like that for the longest time. And it suckered me in. The people were so cool and just so friendly. And even though I wasn't posting, it was supportive. It was had,
Absolutely. Yeah.
and next thing I know, 2 years later, here I am.
You're all in now. There's no way
Yeah,
out for you now, Doug.
no, I'm in it to win it now. I can't get out now. And that's something me and John Coleman and a couple of the others have had conversations about. To us, we do put in a, don't want it to sound like a job, but it kind of is. We do put a lot of work into things just like this, and some other miscellaneouses that we do. And it is a lot like a job, but it's something we really enjoy.
That's what I was
And
just. It's like musicians. It's a job, but they love it.
yeah, it's a job, but you don't put the guitar down. You still take it with you everywhere,
Right, right, right.
Yep.
Yeah.
And to me, it's that even when we take the break and you say, you know what, no social media is, well, no Food Tribe, and no, stay off the phone, shut the laptop. Let's just enjoy life for a minute.
Right.
And I think that's
Yeah.
important to do. But
Yes.
occasionally, you'll still check yourself, going, I'm on Discord talking to FoodTribers, or
Right.
because you just miss that camaraderie of people.
It's true. I've never seen anybody. I've had all different kinds of people, but there's never been a greater group, and I say that honestly, than Food Trot. Now, there really are a great group of people. There was good people on Instagram and
Oh yeah,
Facebook, but as a whole, I've never seen anything like it, where everybody, I thought I would enjoy it just for the food, but now I'm enjoying it for the food and the conversation and the comments and the people and their likes and dislikes and getting to know them through all the different foods that they eat or don't like, all those cottage cheese. But it's fun. I enjoy that.
yeah. Well, and that's it. And now the food almost seems second compared to the community.
You're
And
right. Yeah.
the
You're right.
community I have found over the 2 years is more important to me than the food.
I agree. Yeah.
I love the food, I do, and I love posting my food. I love seeing other people's, but I have learned that the biggest thing I love is the interaction, and that is important. When I love posts that, and John, I can blame John Coleman for this one. I love the post. I love the posts that generate a lot of comments and getting that conversations going, the inside
like that
going.
too.
Yeah, and of course you will, with the way you are, you'll blend into that before long. The nicknames that a lot of us have come from the interactions between each
That's
other.
fun too.
Yeah, and then the silly inside jokes of okay, like Nana Food Burglar, that whole business.
Right. Yeah, I got a kick out of that. Yeah. That's funny.
Yeah. And if you know the full thing, it's her and her dragon, and she rides a dragon to steal your food. She has a cloak of invisibility. It gets silly, it really does, but
Yeah.
it's so much fun. It's
It is.
and Ramon with his archery and his anti-air guns to try to shoot down her dragon to keep Fulana from stealing his pastries. It just gets out of hand so fast.
Yeah, I can see that. It's just everybody's relaxed and everybody's having fun.
Yeah,
I like
nothing's too silly in all reality,
Well, like we were saying earlier, it's good a lot of times to just let down and be silly, no matter what age you are, how you're feeling. Humor is a great stress reliever.
It is.
And the world have a lot of stress these days, and it's not that we don't ignore issues, but if you're only concentrating on those issues, you're going to be pretty down and pretty stressed out. And
That's
it's got
right.
humor and things, and a lot of times you can see it. I see it in so many different things that can be humorous that people say, I don't see any humor in that, but I can see it. And it's a great stress reliever, and sometimes it helps when you show it to somebody and they go, oh, that was pretty good. But
yeah. Well, I am from the old school of laughter is still the best medicine.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And you always feel so much better after you've had a good, proper laugh. And
yeah.
when you get the tears going and you're just, people's like, are you crying or laughing? And like, oh, and then when it's all done, it's just that, you just feel like everything's dropped off of you for a moment.
When you were talking about comments, you are one of the biggest commenters, at least from my point of view, I can see, and it's great.
Yeah.
I look for it. I eat that up. It's not just touting somebody and pushing them up, but it's just real comments about things, life, about food, and that's great.
Yeah, there's a few of us that are everywhere. Jane Fife, she's another one. She's everywhere. And she is always so supportive and encouraging to people, and always has something fun to say too, and a little poke. When things can be poked at and made fun of, go for it.
Right.
And of course, John Coleman, he does his best for how busy he is. Fulana has become one that she lives in the comments.
Yeah.
She only posts maybe once or twice every couple weeks, honestly. But she is always in the comments and she's always having fun. And it's great. It's, Food Tribe is a place, honestly, a lot of people do kind of live without posting. There's several people who don't post a lot but they're in the comments all the time.
It's true. Yeah, I have noticed a few like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Jan is one of them. Jan don't post that often. Jan's out of Germany. He's more of a drive triber.
Okay.
Fantastic guy. Not afraid to speak his mind. Not afraid to speak his mind at all.
Like that.
You always know where you stand with Jan. You do. He is not afraid to let you know what he thinks. But he is extremely fun. An extremely nice guy. But he mostly lives in the comments. He posts maybe once every couple months, and he's fine with that. But he's a lot of fun. So yeah. But and with John was that way with me. He encouraged me. He always pushed me, and sometimes I got a bit annoyed with it. And it was like, John, it's good. No, it's not, Doug. You need to do this. You need to try this.
He's got his own humorous ways too, I found.
Oh my gosh. If you haven't watched the podcast with John Coleman, you're missing out. That dude is so funny. He is his own. He's a whole nother person.
Right out there and stuff, and I like that. He'll just, he's going to say something. He's going to say, and it can be humorous.
Yeah, and he is that way, and there is so much inside humor that a lot of people, and that is one of the things I encourage. And as I said, I liked about you is get involved and find out that this isn't just people who post food. This is, as we say, it's our community. It's almost a family.
Yeah.
Because we do get in and make jokes. Like, I always pick on John. I do, with his McDonald's, and I tell him, he has horrible taste because he eats crickets and snails. Yeah. And, but he picks on me because I put bacon in milkshakes. So, yeah. And that's one of the things I always laugh. I said, that's when you're really kind of merged in, is when you're in with the inside humor. And when new people show up and they're going, what are they on about? What do you mean she rides a dragon with an invisibility cloak? And why does he have anti-air guns trying to shoot her dead? What are you people on about?
Stick around and find out.
It's like, we've been around a while, and we've gotten to laugh and talk, and we've spent a lot of time together. And there's
things I like too is there is a group already, but they're willing to take in new people, willing to take in up. Well, I mean, sometimes you can get groups that are in cliques and it's more standoffish, but not this group.
No.
That's that way. Nobody.
And I am really, really glad. And there's a lot of other tribers that will watch this, and they're going to be really happy to hear that, because, as I said before, that is something we really try to strive and dare I say protect. We want that welcoming nature, and that's why we have the unofficial welcoming committee. When a new person shows up, it's immediate. Hey, welcome. If you have any questions, hit us. Feel free. So.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, let's see, you, John Coleman, Rachel Hogg were the first ones who just really kept encouraging me, and and all. And that was a real good start. I needed it start.
And often it's Jane Fife and then Marcus Milligan will hit you guys up too. And usually they're there with the welcome if you need anything. And and
Jane was, I think, the very next one who did. Right. Yeah.
And there's a lot of people who stayed on Food Tribe just because of that.
Right. Yeah. Well, like you said, it seems like the biggest part of it is the people, and almost a secondary part, or it shines more on the subject, is the food.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, and that's it. So it is an amazing thing. I'm proud to be here. So it's fantastic.
I as well. And as a newbie looking at it, I can see how it's really lost for words. It just as a newbie, I can see how the comments and the people and everything just all sort of integrate and work together. And I love that.
Yeah, and that's why I think it's important for these podcasts to get the thoughts of the new people like you who have just come in. It's easy to talk to those of us who's been around since the beginning, and or even if they've just been around say 6 months to a year.
Right.
It's easy, but I love the interaction and finding out the stuff from the new people because we've been here forever, and sometimes longevity you lose sight of things or you take certain things for granted, and it's nice to talk to the new
But
ones
it's
who are coming in fresh.
ah, thanks. Well, I hope I've helped a bit because that's that's how I feel and that's my perspective coming from it. And I think it'd be a lot of others if they stick with it.
Yeah. Well, and you do. I don't mean to categorize, but you have fallen into the category of people who, hey, I just wanted a place to post my food and share
Mm,
pictures, and
yeah.
I went to the Google Play or whatever app store is your thing, and they said, well, it popped up, and I thought, well, let's see what it is. And the next thing you know, you hear, well, man, people started greeting me and they were so nice and willing to
Yeah.
help. And then I found out, this is a really fun or, welcoming place or supportive, and then they just kind of, well, like what happened to me? You just kind of get that vacuum effect. You get pulled
Mm.
in, and the next thing you know, you're like, oh, how'd this happen?
Right.
Yeah.
How do you
Oh,
lasso into this? But it's
yeah.
very different from any of the other platforms or even food related ones.
And
Doesn't
that we don't take that as a bad thing. We really don't. To us, that's a good thing. So, but yeah. Um, see, now here's you get a fine example. My podcast, I sit and when I first started these, I asked people, kind of what they wanted to see, and there was a lot of speculation on time lengths. And we're almost 2 hours deep on this one already,
you're
and
kidding me. I have
no,
no
I'm serious.
concept of time.
I'm looking at the
I'm just
clock,
talking
and
away.
I'm looking at the clock, and
Wow.
it's almost 5 till, and I'm like, oh, here we go again. 5 till noon, and I'm like, here we go again.
Wow.
Oh,
I mean, it's like
yeah.
talking to an old friend you are. So,
You have,
I'm just going, talking like we've known each other for years.
and I gotta say, I have felt that way. It's like, man, I feel like I've known you my whole life.
That's good. That's what I want.
And and that is something that, as I've told people, I get a little more just like if you've ever been on this podcast, it is going to be that difference because now when I go to James's post and look at his food and I read his articles and his comments, I'm not only going to have this voice in my head now, but it's going to feel that more like I actually know this person.
Right. It's that personal aspect that
Mhm.
wasn't there before. And I like that.
Yeah. And not only that, but I know the character of the person who I'm reading. And
True.
a lot of times that changes even how you read what they're posting.
I agree. It does. Yeah.
So in that is very, very different. Oh, and I love that. Okay, there we go.
There we
Uh,
go.
I
Adjustment.
actually am supposed to be starting another podcast here before
Oh,
long.
okay.
Because of that.
You
No, no,
you tell
no,
me.
no. I ain't worried about it. Don't worry about it. Anyway, I'll get there when I get there. It's not technically mine, so it doesn't matter. But it does change things, and that's what I want is that connectivity.
I agree.
There's so many people I have done, and now when I read their post, I read it in their accent because I
Probably
understand
with
it.
that mindset, like they're speaking it nearly. Yeah.
Yeah, it almost brings it into an audio book at that point.
Mhm. There you go. Yeah,
And,
that's a good analogy. Yeah.
yeah, and and I always pick on him. I do, John Coleman. Now, when anything that happens with him, it is immediate. I can hear that accent, his voice,
Yeah,
everything
that's true.
comes through. And it just makes it that little bit more personable.
I agree. It is. Yep. That's why I appreciate your podcast so much, because it brings it all a little bit together. It's already a community, but it brings the personalities of that community together.
Hmm. Yeah, and it shows why we get along. I mean, it does. Just like this. I mean, I just literally, well, this is the first time I've ever actually talked to you, and look, we sit for 2 hours and just
From 8-track tapes onward to laser disc, pizza, keto to, yeah.
and that's the other thing with this. I set out with a format, and I set out with specific questions, and I set out to try to make this a very nailed down thing. And I found that what really works, and that people have actually come to do, is that just pure conversation. Just let it
Right.
flow.
Yeah,
Just
it's
let it happen.
impromptu. Just say what you're going to say. Yeah.
Hmm. And like with this, and it's happened. Well, me and Christy Sanders was a prime example. We went from talking food tribe into movie tribe. We just went straight into
Yeah.
movies, TV
Oh,
shows,
yeah.
and next thing you know, we spent almost an hour talking about nothing but TV and movies. And that's when the podcast we decided that it would be brilliant, because what goes with TVs and movies is
Mhm.
food. So we done the podcast. That was me and Jane and Christy and Ramon, and it really just turned into talking about movies and
And
experiences.
doesn't it bring a lot of memories, like you were saying about your grandfather and all? That's what I love about real conversations, is
Yes.
they'll conjure up memories that you have, that you can relate to the other person, and that they can get that. Like you mentioned
Yeah.
about your grandfather cutting wood. I thought of my grandfather being a lumberjack. So it's
There you
just,
go.
it just goes from one thing to another when you're really, really talking.
Well, and that's it, real conversation. As much as I love comments and I love DMs and things like that, nothing will ever replace legit conversation.
I agree. I love the comments, but you're right. Nothing will replace it. Yeah.
And just like us laughing about getting up on the house with the antenna. I mean, first of all, you have to live that
I almost falling off now.
to truly understand why we find that so funny. Or like when we got to laughing about putting the cassette recorder up to the speaker on Casey Kasem. First of all, if you don't know who Casey Kasem is,
going through all the million commercials and waiting. Come on.
Yeah. you might need a little white hair to understand who Casey Kasem is. I'm just saying. And to be able to laugh immediately when certain things, like as soon as you say Casey Kasem, dude, I started dying because all the memories just started flooding back as a kid. And that voice coming, he had a very distinct voice to come over the radio. And all that just flooded back immediately. And that's why I say real conversation is so important, and it's dying. It is on life support right now.
Yeah, I agree. We've gotten out of that, but we need to get back into it. Yeah.
Yes. And, I seen an old commercial that for Coleman camp stuff, well, Coleman just makes all kinds, not John Coleman, but the actual Coleman.
Yeah.
And the original social circles was sitting around a campfire talking, just telling stories of growing up, or even made up stories. Who cares? Just
that's right. Exactly.
Talking, interacting, and that was when I think we were at our best. And I think
agree.
We need to go back to.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Because people say, "Oh, it was so nice and easy back then," and comparatively speaking, it absolutely was. But if we try, we can get back to that. It's just you can't get wrapped up in society and where they're going and all that. if it's not in the right area. You know what I mean? If they're going off where it's impersonal conversation or almost no conversation whatsoever, and it's all about me and selfies, then we've lost track. We've lost track of other people and getting to know others and knowing their personalities and our personalities. Like we said, stories. That's what makes up life is our stories.
Yep. Well, and I have said it many times, that makes who we are is our stories. That is us.
Absolutely.
And a lot of these, I'm gonna get on a small tangent here, people. Hold on. These young children nowadays who are these tech kids, I'll just call it that. They always have a tablet, a computer, or a phone in their hand, and they don't know what grass feels like on their feet. They don't know what is, they don't know what playing in the rain is, or I got a friend who their small daughter, she's 12, anyway, somewhere in that area. She's never caught a lightning bug.
I love those memories. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And don't understand. And well, me and Janine and a few of us we're the last of the free range children.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm sorry, God bless us. And these children now don't have stories.
No,
they don't.
You're right.
They don't have that story of there we were, and
that's great. You're right. Yeah, like you're talking about the woods and the grass and all that. Me and my wife went to Maumee, Ohio Park, and they have these wooden, trails. I don't know if you've ever been there, and it goes back into the woods, and it goes for miles, and we hardly see anybody, and it's sad. It's nice in a way, the solitude, but it would be nice to see a lot more people doing that and getting out. You hear all the sounds, whether be it a cricket that John Coleman would eat, or whether it's a frog that a Frenchman would eat, or whether it's birds that we all eat. It's just great to hear all the different sounds, or if nothing else, the rustling of the wind in the trees. We're missing what we think is two simple things, and they're not. That's what makes us. So we're missing it.
And like I said, your stories is what makes you who you are. That's your experiences. You can tell a character of a person by the stories they tell, and you can tell the strength of a person by the stories they tell. Because if a lot of their stories is, hey, there was a lot of down in it, and they pulled themselves out of it, that tells you that's a strong person.
That's right. Yeah.
When them stories are heartbreak, but there they are still standing, winning at life, and you think, hey, you overcame it. You become a better person because of it. And now these kids are just, well, my selfie didn't hit this many numbers on this social note. Well, get out. Have
like life and death for them if they don't reach, a number. And it's not that. Get away from it for a while, get out, and then you'll enjoy it more and can relate more once you get back into it again. Yeah.
Not realize life and death for us as children meant something completely different.
I mean, I remember riding a bike with no helmet. I remember falling, skinning my knee, going back in the house. Mom would put Bactine on it and a Band-Aid, and you're right back out there again with your friends. Boom. Drinking out of a hose, drinking water out of a hose, and not dying, still living to talk about it.
Well, and how much pond and lake water I've drank over my life. We didn't have swimming pools. You want a swimming pool? There's a farmer's pond right down the street. We'll go down there and jump in that thing.
Get a straw and put in the pond. Yeah.
And you go jump in a creek and swim and realize that you laying on a sandbar or a gravel bar in the middle of a river that you swam to, and free range children just
absolutely great memories we have.
Exactly.
You wish for a society now to have those same memories. Some may, I hope some do. but it seems like a lot of them are going off in a different direction, whether it's swayed by the masses or whatever it may be. That's why I like people that are more independent, being independent, think outside the box. There'll be some conformity that you'll agree with people, but if you don't agree with them, have your nonconformity.
Yeah.
Go for it.
But don't mean you can't get along. Just because people don't agree, don't mean you can't get along.
Yeah, that's right.
And I have said it, I use her as an example so many times. Our friend Natalie and even Foodie V, I mean, they're vegans, and
Right.
you couldn't be much different from as far as a lifestyle food wise, but we're still great friends and we love
Absolutely.
talking to each other and it still get along. And that's what it's about. That's what it's about.
Absolutely. And isn't that a credit to FoodTribe too? When you can pull in meat eaters, vegetarians, and all, and anybody else in between. I don't know if there's other things or not, but you can pull them all in and everybody can get along.
Yes.
And it's great.
Yes.
You don't have to force meat down to vegetarian or the vegetarian forcing plants down the meat eater. You just get along. You say, hey, that's a great thing. Maybe I'll even try it. I'll try I just started eating salads about just a few months ago. All my life, I've never had a salad. And it's like, hey, this is okay. This is good stuff, especially when you put meat in it.
Exactly. And Darren Parsons is a master at that one. I tell you, he knows the perfect ingredient for a salad is a steak.
Absolutely. Matter of fact, I was looking at one of those today, a steak salad. And I thought, that looks fantastic.
Well, I tell you what, we might wrap this up. Hey, if you want to talk for a moment afterwards, please, it's fine. But we'll wrap up this part. As I said many times since talking to you, it has been so much fun. You've made me laugh.
Talking to you and getting to know you more, Doug. Yeah.
Yeah. And like I said, it'll make reading the comments and posts so much more.
It will.
And I hope, yes, it is. And I hope that you guys have enjoyed this podcast out there watching it. I hope you found some humor in this and got to know our new addition to FoodTribe. James is a wonderful person. We're glad he's here. Support and hey, I hope you're here years from now. Maybe we'll do another one of these and share stories, and maybe you can tell me, since you've been here for a month, and maybe you can tell me what it's like after you've been here for a year or so, and say, hey,
will definitely just grow.
So fantastic. All right, well, I'll get off here. We'll end this, and as always, FoodTribe, stay positive, stay wonderful. I love y'all.